on this computer.
I guess we it's in progress. Okay. All right. Then basically it's my 2020 podcast again. I wouldn't know if we calling this a reaction or a review, but
Certainly reactive.
okay. So let's just say reaction then if that's the case. Um we here to talk about the Tyre Nichols, rest in peace, murder. Um I did my research. Travis did his research. Eric, you did your research as well. So we're not really going to talk about this too long because it's probably been talked about even longer. But we just reacted and see how we really feel about it. I wanted to do I wanted to start off with let's just what the hell? This shit is not freezing. Is it freezing on y'all like that right now?
Yeah, yeah.
What the fuck?
This
Yo,
is
you look
what
like
y'all can. Yeah, you like you.
you look
Oh
like
my
You
God,
shimmying,
yo.
bro.
Is it good?
There you
yeah.
go. Yeah, you good.
Let's hope it don't do that the entire video.
Yeah.
Let's just hope. But
Uh,
Well,
yeah, I
thanks for
wanted
putting
to.
some light on this topic, man.
Yeah, no problem. I feel like we definitely gonna have to start doing this with more topics. So especially something important in this is something we got to talk about because we are black men just as much. So I wanted to get how you guys react. Let's just start off the fact we know the facts. The facts is this man got stopped for traffic, just regular traffic stop. We know from what I heard or whatever, these five men. Let's start off with calling them men at first, just because
Before we
we could
start
call
getting
them niggas
belligerent.
if we want. It, yeah, we could really go off if we want to. But let's
Yeah.
just say these five black male men, niggas, whatever, were supposedly in a task force that was supposed to stop crime. Well, stop crime in certain neighborhoods.
a
From
high
what?
crime. They were in a high crime area, supposedly.
Okay.
They were in the hood. Uh they stopped what's his name? Mr. Nichols.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas.
Yeah, nickel, whatever. Yeah, either way. Let's just make sure
Um
we guys lay his name right for sure.
right.
No,
They
I don't wanna. I don't wanna interrupt, but during that stoppage, at any point, was Mr. Nichols, and because I didn't watch the video, I just read the information. Was Mr. Nichols like? Did
being
he ever get his answer why he was stopped in the first place?
I never
supposed
watched the video.
I didn't watch it either, but I heard audio. So
Mm-hmm.
they said that supposedly well, they stopped him because they thought he was inebriated, supposedly, or intoxicated, whichever one you want to use. Um, and then he kept acting like, "Yo, why'd y'all stop me?" You know, they didn't really give him an answer. Then they got physical, and yeah, we see how that played out.
Right.
So yeah,
So, yeah, like Travis was saying, they were. I didn't know that it wasn't like an actual bad neighborhood. I thought it was really
oh
a
no,
bad neighborhood.
they was in
So
the
this
hood.
task force, from what
Oh,
I
they was in the
understand,
hood.
They
yeah,
wasn't a
Oh,
they
okay.
what were they known as? Like the Scorpions or something like that?
Yeah,
yeah,
And there
Scorpion.
was a task force, I think, run by a black woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it
I
was basically just to be familiar, like get a familiar face in those neighborhoods.
well, they moved like there was a hit squad from allegedly from this incident. I don't know. So let's go into it as further your explanation. So after they forced this man out, they beat him, and when this man was realized he's getting beaten down in cuffs, he ran for his life.
It
Chase
was
that.
nah. It wasn't. I wish it was that simple.
I
Okay,
don't know.
I'm cutting a lot of parts out.
nah. They essentially got him out the car, whatever. Um,
Yeah,
that turned into him being pepper sprayed. That
I
turned
was
into him getting
getting
hit with
stunned. Yeah.
Kicked in the face,
a nightstick or whatever.
Mhm.
Got turned into the kick in the face, punch in the face. They stood him
held
up.
him down. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. And then I guess
You know,
attempted to cuff him or they cuffed him and he, was able to run.
yeah.
He as far as he could because he wasn't that far from his mom's crib. They said he was like 100 yards from his mom's crib where all this shit happened at.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then he was, screaming for his mom. And yeah, man, they beat him to death.
And I believe they beat him, and then they said 3 days later from his initial
Injuries.
It's worse than that. The medics, I don't want to say EMT, but whatever medics they called or whatever the case was, they didn't even help. It showed them.
Yeah. So
They had him there for 24 minutes with no assistance.
So this is the information that I heard. Aside from these 5 officers actually being charged and fired and stuff, there's also other people who are being suspended, which is EMTs, firefighters, who are being charged. Well, I don't know if they're in the process of being charged, but they're also getting repercussions for what happened. I didn't get to that part of the story from what I just watched the videos. I never watched the video, but I heard just basically off of these 5 officers. I didn't hear anything else about EMTs or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't aware about the EMTs.
Appreciate that. I just heard about the suspension for other officers who wasn't those.
There's so many other crazy stories that goes on to this. I can't believe it. They say one of the officers, something Demetrius, I believe his name is, knew Mr. Nichols personally because his ex was messing with him. Because I don't know if that's true or not, but that's not relevant to the point because people will try to link things up to try to make it make sense. At the end of the day,
it doesn't make sense.
5
doesn't matter.
Who basically it was a hit squad who killed the man in broad daylight, essentially.
And the real question is this their first time?
That's a good question.
Mm.
Actually, it doesn't even matter, but that goes without saying. Like there's a huge problem. There's a really big problem, and it's more than race, but at the same time, race plays a big part of it.
Okay, so let's separate this then. Let's focus on the idea that this is not white cops anymore. This is our own people sitting here having a good old hood jump on one person who lives 100 yards from their own house. Like I can't imagine being so close to home and like being to a point where my safety net, my peace is right fucking there. Like that's even
for your own
horrifying. Like this is just like George Floyd, where he's screaming for his mother's life when he can't even breathe. I hope I'm getting that name right? I'm making sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many names. This is why this is really puzzling to me right now, that now we're sitting here talking about our own people wearing a badge and doing this as if they was just straight off the street or something. Like I don't think there was any reason, whatever it might have been that they claimed it was, there was no reason to sit here and do this to this man. You didn't need 5 men to literally do this to a 150-year-old man. I seen what he looks like. He doesn't look like the type. He wasn't as huge or anything. Like he was smaller than me, if anything. That you didn't need to do all of this. It was not necessary. And then if you actually, I don't think they did the due diligence to actually realize this man lives right here. What the fuck are you doing? I don't think they did their research. I don't think they checked him. I just think they wanted to have a good old night to fuck somebody up. And Larry just didn't give 2 shits. The body cams from what I watched Stephen A. Smith, and he was saying that they just deliberately tried to block the cameras. And if it hadn't been for the camera across the street, we would have never seen something like this. Yeah, we would have never known about anything like this, which is even more ridiculous because the body cams.
They've been probably doing this for some time.
The flip side.
I'm sorry, Travis.
My bad. Go ahead.
You got it.
All right. Oh, now the flip side is on the audio, you can hear them saying they basically was trying to. It sounded like they was just trying to set this shit up. They was like, "Nah, he reached for my gun. Nah, he tried to swing on me." Like they was saying this in the audio. It's like, oh, so
Right.
y'all just freestyling. Y'all just doing this on the spot. Like
Right.
this is wild.
Because these dudes, they still cops at the end of the day, and they do what cops do.
And they
Cops.
believe if the white people get away with it, if we wear the badge, we get away with the shit too.
Well, let's talk about that real quick because I got something to say about that pertaining to race. So, from an updated source, these five men uh, got convicted. They were fired and they got convicted of their crimes, which
Talk about
you
it.
think you would be happy about that, but I feel more conflicted because isn't it interesting that 19 days after or a week after the crime, that these five black police officers got convicted? It's
Yeah,
almost
could
like
I say? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Could I say something about that though, for real? I'm just gonna jump off of what you're saying. None of the murders, none of the brutalities ever was expedited this fucking fast.
absolutely.
I literally looked at the press conference and this dude was literally saying, "Hey, we did our best to move this as fast forward as we possibly can to get these gentlemen charged and fired." And I'm sitting here
Ain't
saying,
that something?
we only like this is the thing. We've taken a lot of L's through police brutality in the many years. I don't know if it's two or three ever since I'm so sorry, Trayvon Martin.
Absolutely.
Ever
Mhm.
since then. And we
Well,
only probably had one.
Even before
Trayvon,
Trayvon. This
no, Trayvon wasn't a.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm just saying in general. I'm not even.
Okay.
I'm just generalizing this whole thing of we're taking losses from young to old at this point right now, which is ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of the cat from the 90s that his name slips me, but
Rodney
Rodney
King.
King. Yeah,
Rodney King,
yeah.
and then even then in that situation, it's just like
Okay.
history is repeating itself with a different color on the face. It's just even like, but
Well,
like I
The
was,
difference is none of those cops, I believe, were
let,
ever
let
prosecuted.
me let me jump in for
yeah.
two
Go
seconds.
ahead. Go ahead.
Please. Yes.
So the difference is with the whole. I mean, not only Rodney King, but most of the things that happen. Usually, like y'all said, it was a process, and then motherfuckers was convicted of whatever. So even stemming from the Rodney King thing, people wasn't rioting and up in arms until they heard the verdict of the trial. So
Yeah.
when they heard the cop got off for that verdict, that's when shit got hostile. Now imagine that. How long did it take George Floyd's?
Months. I think really a year and some. It took a.
More than a year.
What I'm saying, and
More than a
not
year.
to not to mention, remember that they had sent cops to this man's crib to protect him.
Yeah. And they tried to also demean George Floyd by saying they basically made it seem like his death was deserved. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
like he
like
was
he
a
was
he was
not a
drug
like
good man.
dealer.
they said, oh, he
Um,
stole something and
Right.
da da
He was
da
a
and all
drug
that.
dealer.
all this bullshit. When the
Yeah, he
man
deserved
was just a
all
simple
of that.
father.
Like, come on, man. Even we could go back to Eric Gardner, who was just selling cigarettes, who got
Right.
choked out.
But as
You know,
but what's
Did
listen,
he get convicted? That's a good question. Did he get convicted? Did
who
that
the cop
person
that choked
the cop
out?
that choked
or
him?
the cops involved in that did they get convicted? Did they get
I'm
fired?
sure about in Eric Gardner's situation. I don't think I don't want to say yes or no, but I don't
But
know.
out of all of the things you've named, what's the difference with this one? Now you have five
Niggas,
multiple cops.
Yeah, niggas.
There's a hit
five
squad
Niggas.
killing another black man. And to end what not to cut you up, but then what I was saying, that back the blue shit, that badge, that's not gonna save them. If they think that like, oh, they backed that blue and that shit got them locked up because they thought they were something above their badge.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, now where are they? I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad for their families. I don't feel bad for I'm sorry, but I don't because what was this all for? To showcase that you have power, and this always leads me to a stereotype with us in power, how we can't handle it, and show us in the best of light. Because I've always seen us as people, as Black people, being where we come from and where our ancestors from as something that's um I don't say above it all, like we're better than everyone, but I hold us into a way higher standard because we're built for so much pain that at this point, all we can do is just laugh it off and just keep fighting. But at
Yeah.
some point, I guess we get a taste of power, and maybe we like that taste so much that we'll step on other people to maintain and show our dominance with that power. And I don't know why it stems from this way. Maybe is it our mentality back in the day, or is it just human nature?
My thing is, I don't even look at it like that personally. Um, I'm trying to have my train of thought for this right now because this is
What do
still
you think,
crazy.
Travis?
I feel like it's by example that if black cops see white cops getting away with this shit as easily as they have been, this is what I'm trying to bring up is who was the last person that actually got convicted? Was it Breonna Taylor's or who exactly actually went to?
Okay. So the last, I don't know,
And this was
Breonna.
recent. This was recent. This was like last
Okay,
year or
Oh,
something.
Tiana Taylor's cop. Oh man, yeah. I think the
I
last
actually got another one. Mohammed Noor. I don't know if y'all remember. He was a cop in Minnesota. He shot a white chick. She had called and said she thought somebody was being raped or something. Him and his partner report to the scene. He shot this lady. He basically got hit with third degree, no, second degree murder.
I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, I never heard of this.
And yeah, I just remember it because it was like something. Basically, like she was in her driveway or some shit, and she got shot.
And this is a white woman.
Yeah, in Minnesota by a black dude.
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
Says a lot.
So, like, his shit turned out to be. It happened in 2017, and then he didn't go to prison until 2019. So that's even showing you like how long this shit could potentially take with like
If
the
they
jail.
wanted to. If
Yeah.
they wanted to go that long, they will. But if they want it fast, you talking
Bro,
19 days.
Doesn't it set a precedence though now? Because this is the fastest, like you said. This should set a
It,
precedence, but it's
you would
never going to
hope.
happen.
You
Yeah,
would
no,
hope.
you're right.
But the fact that the
um,
color skin is different, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to focus on the fact that these are five niggas. Let's just cut men out the way because men don't do this shit. Men don't do this shit. Men don't take away. Well, I'm not even gonna say that. Fuck Black Lives Matter because this shit is exactly why I would never sit here and say something like that. Because something as simple as Black Lives Matter with a badge on it equals you killing one of us brutally 100 yards from our own fucking mom's house. I can't support something like this. We kill each other every day as is, and now the fact with a badge on it, it's fun for you now. It's just something that you thought you could get away with, and now you people want to show because it's black on black crime. Yo, we gonna expedite this. We gonna make sure we take care of this. We gonna prosecute every single person who's involved in this. Why? Why are you in a rush to do it now? What about the other murders that we still didn't get convicted of yet? There's still a lot of murders on that list that have not been taken care of, and nobody's saying anything about it. And this is my problem about it. We started saying something about it within months of it. But next year happens, it's another person dead, and you forget, hey,
next,
this person
you,
here
you bugging.
is
We talking next month.
no, I'm saying next year. I'm saying like it's like but are you saying we forget about it next month and shit?
Yeah, because every month is something new, bro. Every month. Really, honestly, this happens probably more than we
Think
are.
about yeah.
Yeah. It's just what we're shown.
Yeah.
You know, media works. Media is gonna show you, oh, look, white cops killed another black person, or black people killing black people. Like they show us what they want us to see and cause trauma, and now we end up in predicaments like this, where this man is a skateboarder. He was an amateur photographer. He's basically minding his fucking business. Let's say he was high. Did he deserve to die for being high? No.
Did he
If he was
deserve to
drunk,
get jumped by five
But
cops? No.
No,
So that's what
like
they would use to justify the death. And if I could just like, I won't use the word argue, but interject. Like, I wouldn't say the word we forget, but we're so used to this by now that it just becomes another name and it becomes numb and becomes like the status. So maybe that if that's, I don't want to say that's forgetful, but it's one of those things that just traumatized at this point. It's just another
I
part.
think we're just part of I think it's just another part of the list. And the list will keep going. The list will not stop. And if we keep focusing on this list, shit will never change. We will never move on. We would never be able to forgive, or I'm not going to say forget, because there's probably a million people out here who don't forget about something like this.
mm,
I believe there's people who don't really, really forget about this, but I believe there's also people who do forget about this. And that's the real problem. We're not all going to remember if this person died 3 years ago and and the person who did it hasn't been convicted yet. Some people attention span is just not that. It's not that deep. Their thought process is not that deep because everybody has their own lives to live. And if they sit here and keep thinking about all these deaths, they're not going to be able to really strive and do what they need to do in order to not be that person. Like, this is even scarier. You're 29 years old. It could have been any one of us. It could have been even themselves, the police officer themselves. This shit could have happened to them if they never wore a badge in their fucking life. And that's the tragedy of this shit. That you sit here, that person could have been you on the fucking ground, and you never sat to think about that shit. So let's just try to sway this, because we all have our say about our opinions about these niggas. How do we feel about the fact that this is not about black on black anymore? This is still blue on black at this point. What is it? How do y'all feel about the idea that police brutality honestly will never go away? It will still be documented. Body cams is a piece of shit and will never ever help any cop ever be convicted. That's just my honest opinion. Once they told me about body cams, I said it's complete bullshit. It's just
mhm.
you just fronting to say, hey, we're gonna put something on them so that you know they're responsible for it. But you probably also train these people to know the angles and the points and all these tricks to say, hey, if you're gonna do some weird shit, stand
Make
to
it
this
look in
side
your
or put your
favor.
hand to this side or something. Like, make it look fuzzy or something. Like, there's people are not that stupid. If I wear a body cam and I don't want you to see I'm about to fuck somebody up or some shit illegally, I know what to do. Kids at 5 years old knows how to work a fucking tablet. You really telling me that adults who wear a body cam won't know how to fucking fuzz some shit out?
Well, we do got 10 minutes, so I'll just start with mine. How do I feel about that police brutality is still a thing and the blowing line? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how I feel. What I hope though is I still hold on to this hope that like police training will be more strict and more enforced better than this bullshit tactics that they do. Whatever this scary ass police force, you got dudes that have psychological problems or childhood traumas and not psychologically evaluated to be mentally, but you're putting your life on the line in active duty every single day. You have to be mentally prepared and focused for that. So that's why I think that the police force should be vetting and the process should be damn near almost impossible. Almost you're joining another military force, specialized force. Because that would I would believe to I begin to believe that they're taking this job seriously and that they are better than the best. Let's keep it a buck because we're talking about people that's supposed to keep the peace. People not keeping the peace. These are hitmen and these are legal hitmen. And that's why, I look at other countries and I see them, and you'd be surprised at the police force in other countries. I think in Japan, it's rare for a cop to take out his gun. If a cop takes out his gun in Japan, that means shit's really going down. Well, he's gonna
Mm.
rush you as a billy club. In Canada, they just say cut it out and they stop. So, but everywhere is different. Somewhere in America, we're the wild, wild west with this shit. Where there's a law, but there isn't. So that's what I think. What about you, Travis?
I'm at the point where it's like, first off, the authority or police were created back in the day to hunt down slaves.
Absolutely.
So that already shows you the premise of where we're at and how that hasn't technically changed. Not saying we're slaves, but they still view us as a lower class, lower level, and
Absolutely.
this is why we end up in these situations. I also think that in this predicament, I mean, all five of these dudes are idiots. They're wrong. They going where they deserve to go. But the bad part is this is just in Memphis, small ass
Yeah, it's true.
Memphis. So how many other places in the United States is this happening without the body cam being on? Even though, hey, it's supposed to be on, whatever is prior protocol, not happening. And who knows how many people are getting killed on a daily basis, you know? Can we stop it? It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Indian. It doesn't matter. If you're a cop, you're at once you clock in, all your mind is on is, yo, I'm serving a badge. And serving a badge could get you serving life. You know what I'm saying? And
In multiple ways.
at this point, I can't be remorseful for these people. I don't care if you was like, oh, he was one of the greatest people growing up.
He had 10 kids and he gave that.
Like this man just killed somebody. Like at the end of the day, and that I have to look at you as a murderer. So these dudes are murderers, and I just think that in this situation, in terms of like how we move forward, we don't. Yo, I know people always say abolish the police and shit. You need the police because they
I agree.
kind of order, but in a situation like this, it's like, yo, come on, son. Like, what are we doing?
That's why
Like,
I really stress the training.
yeah.
But
It takes
here's a fun fact.
longer. It takes you longer to learn how to be a barber in the United States than it does to
Absolutely. Any type of cosmetology requires like years of like.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nah, that's it. That's all I'm saying.
The same thing. There is a fun fact. I looked this up when I was trying to figure out the fire department shit. They hire at most 1,000 police officers a year, and I'm not sure about these numbers, but I remember it was a high number for cops, and then it was like maybe about 100 firefighters or something. Like like it's like you're striving.
Firefighter is no joke. That's why they're probably one of the most like respected occupations.
But the fact that you're hiring 1,000 cops a fucking year
doesn't require much. You know how to shoot.
Like your process doesn't. Your process is not. I don't know what's not working. I don't know what could be fixed. I really don't believe anything could change. Personally, we've seen way too much shit. Our grandparents, our great grandparents, even further than that, have seen way too much shit that these things are really not going to change. I don't know what we could possibly do about any of this because talking is not helping. Body cams is not helping. Luckily, a security camera actually helped something, but he still died. No matter what. No matter what, somebody lost a son. Somebody lost a 29-year-old. Whatever he was still a son. He was a human being first. We lost another human being to hateful fucking violence, and I'm tired of hearing about all this fucking hate. Like, the world is evil as shit. And at the end of the day, humans are technically naturally evil, but you choose to do that shit. You chose to do that shit. There was no logical, legit reason to do what you did to that man. You treated him like a complete dog. You treated him as bad as our slave owners treated us when we was back in the cotton fields and shit like that.
That's real. Well, with 3 minutes left, we want to thank y'all for joining the my20 podcast. This edition talking about something that was kind of the spur and a reactive story that we all felt that we wanted to give a personal, time to. And we want to thank you for joining us. And we want to leave you on a positive note. So
before we leave on a positive note, it's fucked up, man. Because we already got the shortest month, and this is how we starting it off.
Yeah,
Like
not a good start.
some bullshit.
It's every year.
This is some bullshit for real. Like niggas starting Black History Month with niggas
We
killing
got
a
them
nigga.
on.
What
We
the
got
fuck
them
are we
on. More
doing?
niggas.
Yeah,
Shit's sick.
well, I
Yeah,
can't wait to see what kind of propaganda they're gonna use to spruce this month up. You know,
I don't got cable, so whatever commercials y'all choose to see based on this happening, the same way they did George Floyd with the amount of seconds for stop breathing and everything like that. Whatever they choose to do, I got no more words for this, honestly, to be honest with you. I'm just tired of it.
no, I feel you.
well, like I said earlier, I for my fellow black, African, my fellow niggas, whatever. I have a high praise for you. I love you, black men. I love you, black women. I expect you to do the best. And like Ty said, that we were blessed. If you don't have to be religious to know that we were blessed with the gift of choice. And whatever action we choose, we have to live with it. So think of that choice. Treat your fellow black man. Treat everyone with love and care. But no matter how you elevate yourself and no matter how higher on the status of your life you climb, don't ever look down and don't ever think you're better than the next man. Because you have to
Because
remember
that could have been.
where you're coming from. Look down, like bring us up, black men. Bring us up, black women. And we thank you for being here with us. And I can't wait for you guys to see the reaction to these two when I tell them that this whole time we've been talking, I haven't been recording. Good night, everybody.
Stop. There's no.
Yeah, nigga, you real funny for that.
Yeah, yo, I'd threw my phone like, nah. All right.
I'm like, you let me say all that shit for nothing.
You can play it. Not doing any more Zoom shits with. Which this is it. Fucking tired of this.
Tired of this.
It.
Motherfuckers, I'm expected to start shit I never was asked to do last minute. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, when are we doing this? I like, when you started, I'm like, what?
This is it. Cause you asked. Once you said, you literally said so. So when we ready when we send the link.
No, I said send the link when you're ready.
You had a question mark, bro.
Yeah, it's right there. It's in the chat.
You had a question mark. I'm thinking if you asking, you know we waiting on you. We know
you're
getting some extra behind the scenes.
It was a question mark. If he had some
extra behind the scenes,
that means that you're saying when you send the link, we're gonna be ready. That's how you came off.
Just send the link when ready, question mark. Yeah. Oh my God.
Tell me